Dr. Introspect, and I'm back. Alright, that's our intro, and today I'm actually bringing back to you a TV show from Netflix called Queen's Gambit. Stay tuned. I have some fun facts about this. First one, this TV series is actually based on fiction, so it's not based on a real life character. I know for us girls that look up to strong female lead characters, it would have been nice to see that, but you know, this is fiction. Second fun fact, I think that she's an INTJ. For those interested in MBTI, I think Beth's character is an INTJ, and we see her experiencing a lot of unhealthy patterns with her extroverted sensing, which is common, of course, for INTJs that are unhealthy. There are a lot of things here that I have to unpack for you. And if you haven't seen this show because you're thinking it's all about chess and I don't play chess and I'm not gonna get it, you're gonna change your mind when I'm done with this video. First of all, I don't play chess, and second of all, this show has more to do with other things than chess. In fact, a lot of the things I'm going to talk about have nothing to do with chess. The depth of this show is deep, and it actually gets pretty dark if you keep an eye out for it. So if those are your issues, go ahead and knock yourself out with this show, because you're gonna like it even without knowing how to play chess. Alright, so some of the things I'm going to be covering are actually going to be about mental health aspects of the show. There's a lot of psychological dynamics going on that I'm going to unpack for you here, and I kind of appreciate the message that is there in the show about mental health. Right, so without further ado, let's dive right in. So looking at Beth's attachment style, I think Beth has a dismissive, avoidant attachment style, and part of the reason why she has this attachment style is because of the caregivers. As you know, the kind of attachment you have is dependent on the kind of attachments that your caregivers made with you during your childhood. For Beth's case, we can see a situation of parents that are not really present and available, parents that she can depend on. For her first birth mother, her mother had some psychological issues. It wasn't really specified in the show. We just see some pills lying here and there, and we see her acting in weird ways. It looks like she has psychosis. You know, she takes her child and runs away from her child's father, and I think creates that whole kind of parental alienation. And of course, her struggling with her own issues with her mental health doesn't allow her to be present and available for her child. And then when Beth is adopted by a woman who is struggling with depression. Again, it's not explicitly stated in the show, but you can see her medicating with those blue pills and self-medicating with alcohol, depressed, just not really being there for Beth, or even like she wasn't there for Beth when she had the first period. You can imagine she had to figure out how to deal with her first period, which is something for every girl. You know, your mother is there with you, and for those that don't have mothers present, maybe their mothers are late or something, even their fathers kind of really think a lot about the process of helping your daughter understand that she's okay, there's nothing wrong with her bleeding and things like that. And Beth just had to figure it out on her own. And these are aspects that they show us in the show, that Beth is having to basically parent herself, and that fortifies that dismissive attachment style she has. In different scenes of the show, you see Beth's mom making whispers to her as a child, 2, 3, 4, 5, talking about why you need to be alone and you just need yourself and only yourself in life. And it's not a bad message per se. Self-reliance and independence is great. As a healthy, functional human, you need to also strive for interdependence. That means you're able to recognize that you need other people here and there sometimes, and you can depend on them, and they can depend on you, not in a codependent way, in a healthy way where you can still, you know, do your own thing, but you're not afraid to say, I need this, I want this. You're not afraid to ask for what you need and what you want when you need to ask for what you need and what you want, kind of thing. So it seems like her mother was pushing for more so independence that is almost unhealthy, and those are part of the reasons why I think that she is an NT type, because that independence is strong, and she doesn't have friends the entire time we see her grow up. In fact, she makes friends with the old man in the basement that teaches her how to play chess, not one of her peers. I mean, and the friend that she actually made, the other girl, the dark girl that said she didn't get adopted because she was a black kid, she was mostly friends with her because she could give her drugs. So she was kind of using her. It wasn't like she was seeing her as a friend per se, but she's a friend. She's someone that has access and she can use in that kind of way. So that's a key theme there, the whole unhealthy independence that she has going on. The second thing I want to talk about is with regards to mental health. So I'm using that mental health as an umbrella for a lot of things like substance abuse, codependency, dealing with grief, all of that. So first of all, the substance abuse. Substance abuse is an addiction, is bigger than a lot of people think it is, and that's why a lot of people get into rehabs and they just keep going back to rehabs because they are trying to cut the bad habit, when the issue is not the habit itself, is the wound that they are trying to soothe with those particular vices. They are just gonna ditch drugs and pick up cigarettes, ditch cigarettes and pick up prostitutes. They just pick up one new vice for the other. And for us here, we see that soothing is something that you kind of pick up how you soothe yourself from your parents. If you find that you kind of drink a lot when you are in pain, there's a possibility that you kind of saw your parents do that, and it's subconscious, you pick those things up. So for Beth, her mother used to take the blue pills. Now, whether she took those pills because they were medications that were given to her or she abused those medications, we don't know. But as early as 9 years old, Beth starts taking the pills as well. And then Beth's adopted mother was taking blue pills as well, I think probably for her own depression, and she was also self-medicating with alcohol. So it's not surprising that after a while, Beth also starts taking alcohol as early as her early teens, 14, 15. She's taking alcohol and she starts using them to soothe herself. When Beth starts making money from the chess tournaments, she picks up shopping habits as well. So she spends as well. She goes shopping and buys things for herself, but not in this healthy buying way, but as a way to soothe herself. There's a lot of void and emptiness inside of Beth that she finds herself leaning on this outside things, and that's Beth's own form of like codependency. She is codependent on these substances, the shopping and things like that, and she's also codependent on the game of chess as a way to, deal with a lot of her emotions and self-regulate. So with chess and the substances Beth takes have this weird vicious reinforcing cycle going on, where chess is the excuse why she takes drugs. Like, oh, I need to take the blue pills so that I can get better at playing chess. But then again, she is playing chess so that she can take the blue pills. So it's like this cycle that feed on each other repetitively, and it just continues like that. Also, we see that, I'm sorry if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my trusty notes. So you will hear a lot of people mention in the show that chess is everything to Beth. Chess is, unlike the others that play for I enjoy it, but I have a life, I'm going to school to be an engineer, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But for Beth, chess was her life. Chess was her lifeline, and that's because it was her escape. For some people, they pick up a sport, soccer, whatever, as a way to escape the things going on in their lives. And for Beth, this was the case. She picked up chess as a way to escape the trauma. I think it would have been great if, as a child, Beth had gotten therapy with a child trauma specialist for when her mother died and got into that accident. Perhaps she would have been able to process that grief, and then she wouldn't have needed chess, but that didn't happen. She just goes on, and they kind of portray it as her being stoic as a kid, no such thing, but obviously anything you don't deal with represses, and they come out in other ways. They manifest and still affect your life. So please, if you have issues, see a therapist if you can, get help, process these things, deal with them, because ignoring them doesn't mean that they go away. And we see that play out a lot here with Beth. So the chess wasn't just a game, it was her identity, it was her life, it was her escape, it was everything. And people would tend to liken her to some other people of historical chess players that have gone down her path and kind of wasted their lives as well with like drugs or substances or whatever. They lost their way and chess was the only thing. So when they lost it, they lost themselves. And they would say to her in a kind of like cautionary tale way, we don't want you to be like this, we are seeing the signs, but we don't want that for you. Mental health wise, like I mentioned earlier, her mom and the adopted mother, they had challenges of themselves. They had mental health issues, and as a result, like I said, they weren't available, and it doesn't seem like they really got the intensive kind of care that they needed. Mental health aspects is actually what sets the pace for this TV show, because it starts off with Beth coming out of a car from a tragic car crash. Now, what you don't know is the mother actually committed suicide. She tells her daughter to close her eyes while she's driving the car, and then she runs into a truck, and then she dies on the spot and leaves her kid alone in this world. So that happened. And then Beth's adopted mother, like I said, she was depressed. She was living an empty life. She was sad and everything. And she also committed suicide. She drank. I don't know what she did, but she probably alcohol poisoning or something, and she died as well. So now Beth has two mothers that have died and left her alone. That's two traumas, and the adopted mother's death really set her off. It was part of the reasons, it was part of the trigger that just set her off a spin, and I think it kind of linked back to the trauma she had as a child that was never really processed, and that's when she started going down from there. So if those people had gotten help themselves, maybe the outcomes would have been different. For Beth, it's possible if she had gotten help, she wouldn't have needed chess. And historically, even in our present day, creativity and talent has a lot been linked to mental health, like a sacrifice you pay. A lot of great artists, even Chimamanda Adichie has said she has battled depression. Kanye West, contemporary of our time, deals and struggles with bipolar disorder. Marilyn Monroe has been suspected to be a borderline personality. She had that challenge, mental illness. You see it happening a lot, like a sacrifice for talent, for skill. I still will stand on the space of health. I still think she could have still been a good chess player and been healthy and processed the trauma and had healthy parents who got the help that they needed so they could have shown up for her as well. And I can stand by that, because by the end of the show, when she had developed this dependency on her drugs and alcohol, and she started to think that without the drugs she's not going to be able to beat this man at the tournament, she still beats him without the drugs. So it's possible she would have still been a great talent if she had gotten the help for her mental health. So Beth's adopted mother is a codependent. She's codependent with her husband that eventually divorces her, and it seems like she got attached to a man that is avoidant. So he is not present in the relationship. In fact, it was his idea to adopt Beth, but he just didn't even want to have anything to do with her. So being with a spouse that just ignores you and treats you like you don't exist, obviously, whether that was what incited her depression and mental health challenges, we don't know, but we can definitely say it made it worse. You're already codependent and you feel like your life has no meaning, and then the person that's supposed to be your spouse, your partner, just completely treats you like you're no one. So when that man leaves her life, she now makes Beth the center of her universe. And in this codependent relationship with Beth, and it's codependent mostly because of her, not Beth, because Beth is dismissive, avoidant. In this codependent relationship with Beth, she parentifies Beth. Beth is like the parent in that situation, because this woman is just, she's drunk, she is drinking all the time, she doesn't even have time to make food or whatever. And when the woman tells them, oh, he has divorced me and I don't even have skills to get a job or anything, like what am I going to do? And then Beth had already told her about how much she wanted that tournament championship thing that she played, and all of a sudden Beth becomes basically the breadwinner of the family. She is cutting school, and they make it look like it's fun, right? She's having fun, she's leaving school, she doesn't even want to be there anyway. But honestly, if you really look at it, that is parentification going on, because obviously Beth doesn't want to be sent back to the orphanage. She doesn't want to not have a parent or anything like that. Not that the woman explicitly said you must work or anything, but that's kind of what happened. She's a child, obviously. She loves this woman. She wants to have a parent. She doesn't want to be in the streets, so chess is her escape. It's not like that she's having to do dishes or anything. She even wanted to get a job. And I think the woman told her, how can you go and get a job or something like that. So she was parentified, and that's part of the reasons why in that codependent relationship her adopted mother couldn't tell her, no, don't drink, don't take this, she couldn't really stand in that dynamic and be the parent, because Beth was basically being a parent and a friend to her in many ways. As a result of Beth's reliance on her drugs to, see the chess on the wall, whatever, so she can play chess better, she developed a kind of dependency. And this is really important because you see it happen with athletes that take steroids and stuff. They start to think that they play better because of the things they're taking. Performers that take coke before they go on shows, they take drugs, they think that the drugs make them perform better. And now Beth is thinking she probably wouldn't be able to beat this Russian man that holds the world title at this showdown of a finale without her taking these pills. Obviously she doesn't take it and she beats them anyway. And that is a strong message there. You don't want to have a dependency on things like this, because then you start to think this is the source of your talent, your skills, and this is essentially who you are. These are all covered under the mental health aspects. Something else I would like to note on is that Beth is a very strong female character here, and she is playing a sport that at that time was characteristically male. In fact, when she tried to enter into her first tournament, they paired her with a female instead of a man, and that female happened to be the only other female in the tournament. And she wins the whole thing in the end. Beth wins, but seeing a woman push through like that can be very inspiring, especially for young girls. Today, when you see women being sworn into a house of rep and things like that, people that look like you, people of your gender, of your race, things like that, it can be very inspiring. So I know for a lot of girls, young girls, Beth's character, aside from her mental health challenges and substance abuse, she's a very admirable character to best men in their own kind of space at that time, creating that kind of space for other ladies to have female chess clubs and things like that. In this story, I thought it was really interesting that they explored her sexuality. So often when you have strong female leads like this, they tend to ignore those aspects of the woman. Like, if you're going to be this powerful, strong force, then you don't have like a sexual vibe to you, which is odd, because when you are looking at strong, really macho men, maybe the James Bond, all you see is them conquer women all the time. You know, they almost adorn their masculinity with their sexual prowess. But then when you have a strong female character, it's like they either portray her as a prune or whatever. But in this case, we see her even at so young an age, they still explore those themes. And even in those explorations, you can still see that she has unhealthy attachment styles with that. Beth has a pattern of seeking men that are emotionally unavailable. So when the emotionally available guy, the one that got the braces for her and tried to help her play and get better, when he's here for her, she is kind of distant with him. But then the other guy that is the American champion that chesses everything to him and he's not available for nothing, she is seeking a connection with him in an intimate way. So it's possible she is doing what Sigmund Freud calls the repetition compulsion, where she's repeating things from her childhood with the male father figures that were either alienated from her or chose to not be present, her biological and adopted father, in those scenarios. So something to note there. Something else I want to touch on is with regards to her personality traits. Beth is highly perfectionistic, and it's not always a bad thing. All you perfectionists out there, please say hi in the comments. Just type a hi, and I don't know, that's what you're talking about. So if you're highly perfectionistic, it could mean that you are always striving to do better, and it could lead to self-improvement continuously. So that is the good side. The bad side is when you are codependent on those actions and your sense of self-worth is dependent on those things, and you're eternally striving for something you can never have, because nobody can ever be perfect. Nothing you do can ever be perfect. It can really be great. And if the goal is for you to just be better for you, that's great. But if it's for you to be better because you think when I am the best, then I will have worth, that's where you run into problems. Beth also doesn't know how to deal with failure. Dealing with failure is very important, and you can understand why she didn't really have caregivers that taught her that, you know, how to deal with failure. In fact, her adopted mother, when she told her that she won, she was like, oh, you won something. Like, you know, she was already bringing her up in this way of life, like, life will kick you down, you never, you know, which is like worse, okay? You don't want someone that's like too hard on you, and then you don't want someone that just takes away every drive and every will you have because they tell you not to bother trying because you're gonna fail anyway. So you want to be able to fail at something and you're like, okay, reframe it, I learned from this and now this is what I've learned and I can do better. You know, like the guy that created the light bulb, you're like, I learned how to perfect the other light bulbs 1,000 times or whatever, as opposed to I'm a total failure and I'll never do anything. So how you perform at things is not an expression of who you are, it's not a sense of your self-worth, it's just that's how you perform at that thing. I failed at this, not that I'm a failure. So these are skills that obviously if you have caregivers that teach you how to do these things, it would be great. But as an adult, if you find that you're someone that cannot deal with failure, it's one of your greatest fears. There's so many young people, if you ask them, in fact even me, like when I was 20, if you asked me what's your greatest fear, I'd be like failure, you know. So you can still teach yourself these skills, and that is something we see here. She fails a lot of times. I really admire her perseverance. So she is winning this chess thing, and she's winning. People are calling her a prodigy. It's amazing. And then, you know, the higher you go and you start to meet really high up people, the odds of you winning are not as high anymore, because now you are meeting people that literally eat, sleep, breathe, play this thing, you know. So you're gonna have to toughen up to take those L's, you know. So I like that she kept coming back. Her perseverance was really admirable, and that was a lesson in there for us, that you just have to keep trying sometimes. And in your spirit of perfectionism, you need to learn to be kind to yourself. You see Beth when she goes into the bathroom, when she takes breaks from the chess tournaments. She talks to herself, and she uses the most unkind word. She calls herself a B word, she calls herself all kinds of things, kind of like some people that even slap themselves when they fail at something. Look at you, you're useless, you're a failure. And you can just have an insight into the kind of voices that are in Beth's head. They are probably really dark voices that tell her really negative things. And if you're someone that sees yourself in Beth in this moment, you need to learn to be kind to yourself. You need to be able to say kind words to yourself, because the world is already as prickly as it can be. You don't need to add to that strain by being that horrible voice critic, that inner critic. You can change that. All right, if you want me to make videos on that in my podcasts, I have those things coming up for you. So you can definitely change your inner dialogue. All right, something, someone, whether from your childhood, put those voices in your head, and you can take them out and replace them with more positive things. So please be kind to yourself. Finally, I want to talk about the whole concept of standing on the shoulders of giants. That's actually a quote I remember seeing a lot on Google pages, standing on the shoulders of giants. And for Beth, we know that Beth is highly intuitive, and people that are really intuitive, they tend to go with their intuition. They don't really have an appreciation for the here and now, or the tried and true, tested and trusted. It's like people that respect that. They're like, why break? Why? If it ain't broken, don't fix it, right? But people that tend to be very visionary, they're always looking on to possibilities, looking on to the future, bringing on the vision and things like that. And with that comes that whole, I don't want to say disrespect for history, but it's like, I know how to, bring forth this other reality into existence, and that's more important. Her friend, he teaches her the value of this. He's like, look, you're aggressive. Everybody knows how you play. And a lot of her anger in her life comes out when she plays, in her aggression, and it's not like she's aggressive and whatever, but the way she plays, she always plays on offense. And sometimes you need to vary how you play, I'm going to liken this whole standing on the shoulders of giants to something this author says. I'm gonna leave his name. I can't pronounce his name, alright, so I'm not even gonna try. But he talks a lot about flow state and creativity, and when he did his research, a lot of these highly creative people, some of them Nobel Prize winners, they had to really consult the domain. If you're entrepreneur, you're a person coming up with a brand new idea, you're a researcher, you're a doctoral candidate, you're going to need to go to the literature and see what the current conversations are. In the corporate world, some people say paying your dues. Let me just liken it today. When Nicki Minaj came and people were like, girl, you did not pay respect to Foxy Brown. You didn't pay respect to Lil Kim. Like, you just came up here and that's it. You're going to want to go back and look. Even people that are current contemporary artists, you're probably going to find that you're looking at the works of Michelangelo, those great artists of old, not necessarily to copy their styles, but to see how far things have come and what things used to be. And sometimes in the literature you find a gap that is where you want to solve the problem. Sometimes you have to go back and see what has been done to have inspiration for the new idea, how that fits into what you're doing. Even people that come up with theoretical principles in mathematics and physics, sometimes they have to go back and build on what's already existing. And in this case, that's a lesson she really had to learn. Yes, you're good, you can figure out your moves on the fly, but sometimes you need to go back and read these books and see this skills, yes, some tried and true ways that have worked and will always work. And if your opponent is using them, you can see it, so that is something you can apply to your life. that doesn't have anything to do with chess. You're gonna need to stand on the shoulders of the giants that have come before you so that you can see what they have seen, and then you'll be able to better figure out where you're going and how you're going to get there. So that's really all I have for you. Today we've looked at the mental health aspects of the show in terms of grief, in terms of attachment styles, in terms of dealing with failure, perfectionism, substance abuse, codependency, and a whole lot more. I started the show talking about how Beth is a person that is doing everything alone, but we see in the end she backs that championship not just by herself, but with the help of some friends. And it was just so touching with them helping her figure out that final strategy that she used to win that tournament. And of course, did I forget to mention that she learned how to speak Russian so that she can, go to Russia and play against that, stuff. And that's a lesson there. Like, if you're planning on becoming someone, you're planning on doing this great thing, you're planning on doing this blah blah blah, you need to learn those things. If you're hoping you're going to be a public speaker sometime in the future, you want to do things like that, then you should probably take public speaking classes now to prepare you for that. That resilience that she has despite her flaws is amazing, and that is definitely something that you can apply to your life. In the end of the show, Beth sits down among Russians and she plays a good game of chess, and the show ends that way. And what I'll tell you about that scene is, in life when you become successful, everybody wants to associate with you. So she has a planner that's already telling her you need to get back to the States, get on a flight, the president wants to meet you, blah blah blah. And all of a sudden everybody is trying to come to her, and she just leaves it all. And for the first time, that game of chess is not a game she's playing because she needs to make money. It's not a game she's playing because she's trying to escape trauma. It's not a game she's playing because she is trying to beat people so that she can regain her sense of self. It's a game she's just playing because she's enjoying it for the first time. That's what that scene is about. That's what it means. And looking again at the whole interdependence, when she sinks into that hole, even when that guy is knocking at the door and he's like, I know you're in there, you're taking the drugs, you're drinking, she's not opening that. And it's almost like a repeat of what her mother did when her father would come knocking on the door and her mother would shun him out. Finally, that her black friend from the orphanage comes and helps her, and she tells her, look, I'm not trying to save you, I'm not your hero, you're saving yourself. I'm here because you need me, and one day I'm gonna need you too. I'm gonna hope that you be there. So I thought that was deep. That was really deep. And that short reference is just the summation of everything I've been saying with regards to interdependence. Sometimes I always say to people, you're your own hero. No one is coming to save you. It's you. And I thought that it was important that her friend said that. And I think her friend also said it because tomorrow she could be in that situation again, and she doesn't want the girl having this feeling of codependency, like, oh, I need to go and get my friend. She saved me the last time. She's going to save me again. And she's like, no, I'm not saving you. No, you are the one saving yourself, but I felt you needed me, and so I'm here. And one day I'll probably need you too. And that's just it, in life. I don't think anybody can dig you out of a hole that you don't want to come out from. So I think first of all, she wanted help. She just didn't know how. She didn't know how to stop. She didn't, but she wanted help at that point, unlike the other times when she didn't want help. So if you're gonna help someone, first of all, you can't want to help them more than they want to help themselves. It won't work, right? Alright, so those are all my lessons I have for you from the Queen's Gambit. Like I told you, not much to do with chess. Or if you caught any of these things, let me know in the comments. And if you caught something I didn't catch, tell me in the comments as well. Alright, so please like this video, comment, subscribe, share this video. Subscribe if you haven't, and add it to a playlist. It really helps with the YouTube algorithms when you do that, and it keeps me motivated to keep coming back. And until next time, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.